Patrick, guess what came in the mail today?
Oh, what?
This.
Stick it in! Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a special edition of the MK Productions podcast, aka episode 118. It's our review of the upcoming digital film called The Painter. And me and Kristen are going to talk about it and also introduce a special segment that Kristen did. Kristen, you want to go more into what we're talking about today?
Yes, hello everybody. Today we are talking about a special film called The Painter. It's right now, you can go watch it in theaters and select theaters, but it's coming out on digital later on this week. So I think it's like January 9th. It's going to be available on digital.
Mhm.
But we have a huge exclusive. We got to talk to a legendary actor, Academy Award-winning actor, Jon Voight.
Yes.
He's one of the stars of The Painter.
The film follows an ex-CIA operative who is thrown back into the dangerous world when a mysterious woman from his past resurfaces, now targeted by a relentless killer in a rogue black ops program. He must rely on his skills he thought he left behind, as the film stars Charlie Weber, Madison Bailey, and Jon Voight.
And we saw the film. Mac and I saw the film.
Yes, we
and
did.
we both enjoyed it. I certainly enjoyed it for what it was.
It's a fun action film. I think
Yeah.
it's like it's harkens. We've covered a few of the action films, and this one was more memorable to me, at least.
Yeah, at least I would just say the films that we've been sent. This one would have to say is most memorable. It was funny because this was sent by our friends at Paramount. Paramount also sent us last year a film called Disquiet, which we got to review. And funny enough, the stunt coordinator who worked on that film, his name was Kimani Ray Smith. He directed this film, and I thought he did a pretty solid enough job for what it serves its purpose for. You know, it's a smaller film. It's got good actors in it. I thought it was fine.
I was gonna say with the stunt coordinating too. I really the opening scene I did like with the whole like fight scene in the garage. Like I feel like that I like the concept of the film. I'm not gonna go too much into the spoilers, but
No.
the main character has a condition where he picks up sound. He can pretty much hear everything, even like a pen dropping from like the other room over here. He can probably hear that, and they actually coordinate that well into a lot of the fight scenes. It makes it a little bit more unique. It's kind of like imagine Daredevil, but he can see and have super hearing.
That's a good
like a deadly
comparison.
yeah, it's a deadly combination because usually it's one or the other, but they said here's both.
Yeah. And I like, just going off of that, they really did a good job with the editing for that to pick up for it.
Mhm.
And I have to say, Charlie Weber was really great in this role. I don't really watch a lot of Charlie Weber, but he was very good in this role.
I found him out on How to Get Away with Murder. I love that show.
Mhm.
Also, shout out to him because he is actually a character in one of the Battlefield 4. He played Corporal Dunn in Battlefield 4. That's one of my favorite Battlefields. So I was like, oh, nice, he's in this. It's like, and I was like, he has a good presence. I do like his character. It is very interesting to see like he uses painting as a coping mechanism from his former job, and that's all I'll get into because I don't want to spoil it. But I do feel like that it does play into the role as like an overarching theme in the film. Like there's a theme with like, you know, painting, and you know painters like to use a lot of analogies when this, and you can use a lot with this movie, and I think that works well with the character too.
I like the paintings in this film.
Oh yeah, the painting he had of his wife was pretty good. I was like, damn, that's really spot on accurate.
And the drawing that Madison shows off in the film of like when she first sees him, she's like, I have this. Going off of Madison Bailey, but Madison Bailey is also the star of one of my favorite shows that's on Netflix, and that's OBX. Have you seen that?
No, I have not.
I highly recommend it. It's like the Goonies, kind of, a National Treasure. Speaking of Jon Voight, who was one of the stars of National Treasure. And knowing I got to talk to Jon Voight, it was kind of cool because he was so happy to work with Madison, and I got to talk to him for a few minutes and just get to know some of his knowledge of being in the film industry, and just, you know, getting to know him in a short time. It was kind of cool.
I mean, you got to think about it. Like this man is actually Hollywood royalty. Like
He is Hollywood royalty.
he's been in so many films. Like, I mean, when you said it, like, you know, when it's faces, like I know who Jon Voight is. But it like sometimes I'm like, oh man, who are they? When you're like, hey, we're gonna talk to him. I was like, Jon, I was like, that's Mr. Sir from Holes. Like, oh my gosh. I was like, I
Yeah, we
love
both
it.
grew up with
Yeah,
with
yeah.
Holes. And
And it's
knowing that this man has starred in almost 100 films, it's
that's
kind of
crazy.
nuts
Yeah.
from what he, because I was going over the filmography, like in preparation, you know, to talk about him for the episode and for the interview. I was thinking about it. I knew him from growing up from Holes, National Treasure, Bratz. Like there's a lot of stuff I knew him from. And when they approached us with this interview opportunity, I was like, absolutely. Like this is like childhood, like memories for myself right here.
Yeah, this is just it was a great opportunity and you killed it again. Like you are out of the both of us. Like I know I've done my interviews when I first started the podcast, but I like get it and it's like I'm like, hey, you handle it, you're good at this, but whenever we do it, you do good. You have a good journalistic like not edge to you. You're very like how do I say this? I don't want to call you Drew Barrymore. You're the
Sure.
very you're very like
Do I get out of my seat and start
no,
jumping? Like
no. You ask the right questions and you're very like calm and you're collected and you just ask the right questions to get them like it's like a conversation and like I guess when we did the Brendan Bradley interview a few weeks ago, I just noticed I'm like, man, she actually has a better presence than me because I'm, you know me, I'm awkward.
that's
I'm like, oh,
to be
like, but
fair, I felt so awkward and I was kind of nervous because it's funny. I always recommend people, if you always don't are nervous about interviews or whatever, talk to yourself like you're in the mirror and just say like just ask the questions, get yourself comfortable and picture how you're going to say in your head, just talk it out with yourself. I talk to myself all the time.
same.
So but
Another
I did that for this and I was a little nervous when I went the record button hit and especially just talking to someone like Jon Voight, I was like, oh God, what's gonna happen here?
I will say when we interviewed Nick Moran last year or a couple of years ago for the podcast, I was nervous because you couldn't make it, but I felt like a good strategy what I do is that I talk to myself too, but I like to just engage it as like a regular conversation and I'll be like I use that as like a guide, like because like where I'm working now and I have to ask questions for businesses and I kind of like to just guide it and be like, hey, you know, let's talk about the film, you know, that's a blah, 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 blah. So that's a good way. But I feel like we just got this on lock. And it's thank you so much, Paramount, for being able to, you know, give us a film. We loved it. Great.
Another opportunity, honestly, because we
Yeah.
got it last year and now we got it again.
No,
So.
yeah. So thank you so much. We like it's just awesome. It's just really great.
Yeah, I enjoyed talking and I enjoyed the interview. So guys, be sure to check it out. It's going to be available on digital very, very soon. So check it out when it does. And for now, let's kick off to our interview with the one and only Jon Voight.
Yeah.
It's an honor to be speaking with you today.
Thank you so much. That's nice of you to say.
Yeah. So congratulations on all the hard work you've done over the long career you've had. And
Right, I'm exhausted.
I'm sorry?
I'm exhausted.
You're exhausted? Well,
From the long career. Yeah.
but you've had a rewarding career. I mean, look at you. Like you won an Academy Award. You've done so many things with your career. It's honestly amazing. Ray Donovan, great. So I wanted to talk about your new movie, The Painter, obviously. That's why I'm here today. What made working on The Painter so special?
Well, I think the story was special. This is a very interesting story with lots of fun in it, twists and turns and stuff, and a very satisfying ending. And of course, a lot of great action sequences and really strong performances. I really thought that Madison Bailey is, you know, a very special young talent, and Marie and Charlie, of course. It was fun to work on, and the fun carried over to audiences now, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And I know not just from starring in The Painter, but you've gone on to star in so many action movies over the course of your career. But besides The Painter, I'm sure you enjoyed working on that. What has been your favorite film you have worked on?
Oh, that's an impossible question. I think Paul Newman said something. He said something about, you know, I can't choose among my children, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's a good thing to say because each of the films that I've done, I've been very, very fortunate in my life to have worked with wonderful people on wonderful stories. And so I have many happy memories, you know, really wonderful stories about so many of the pieces that I did. Very few difficult stories, you know, very few, all very positive.
Oh, that's
I could
amazing.
talk, like I could talk for a long time about each of the events of my life.
I'm sure.
Yeah, very vivid to me. I remember so many moments in each of the films that I've done.
Do you have a special?
So just ask me, what about that film? And I'll tell you a story. By the way, as I've gotten older, you know,
Yeah.
you have a lot of memories, right?
Yeah.
Come to a set, and then the people start asking you about the memories.
Yeah.
And you're talking to these younger people who are looking up to you, and they're just starting out, and they want all that. So then you start telling stories, and then you become one of those storytellers on the set. And I try to avoid it, actually. I try to duck from that. But there are great stories, and I think that they all have a little bit of a lesson attached to them too, because as the kids grow, they want to know something about how to pursue their careers and what are the difficulties and this and that, you know. And if you give them a little bit of something from your own experience, it can give them a little insight and settle them on some of the questions they might be raising. So anyway, it's a good thing to become an elder.
I love the answer for that. But going off of the memory question in your response, do you have a favorite memory from working on the film?
On this film,
On the painter, yes.
on the painter. Well, I think the memory of this film, I was really affected by the performance of Madison uh, because she was a new personality, you know, who had some success, and people were talking about her.
Yes.
So I was interested to see what she would be like because she came with highly recommended, you know,
Mhm.
and and so I was alert to it, and I found I was very moved by her because I saw all the things that they were talking about. She's a really wonderful actress.
She's so talented. I love her and her TV show, OBX. It's so
Right.
good.
And she's great. And she's a wonderful person, really good person. I think, why do I say that? I think she's young, so we don't know where she's going to go, but she seems to be very balanced as a person and disciplined and of a positive energy. She's really impressive. So anyway, that, you know, and I'm impressed with Charlie and his abilities and his ability to take on a huge amount of stuff because all this fight stuff that he had to do, he had to train for it and do all this stuff, and then really had to work hard days because he's almost in every scene. So he
Mhm.
wonderful job, and Marie and I got to know each other a little bit in a nice way. So anyway, there was a nice group of people that I enjoyed the other performers in this film.
So you talked about working with your cast, but what was it like working with your director, Kimani Ray Smith? I know he's like done so much with stunt work.
Yeah.
What
Well,
was it like working with him?
Well, he's a stunt coordinator, so he takes responsibility for that aspect of film, and that's a big responsibility. And it's really a responsibility for putting people in danger quite a lot of the time because they're doing difficult stunts that if they go wrong, there can be serious consequences. So he's a person who's taken on responsibilities, you know, and as my friend Stephen Paul, who produced these films that I'm doing now, he said to me, John, Kamani has a great story sense. And that's the ingredient that you need as a director, aside from all the other things, do you see? He's a disciplined guy who knows how to organize things, knows how to work with people, has a good imagination, and he was also gifted to know how to tell a story. So that's a perfect thing for a director, and he turned out to be a good director. So this is the beginning for him.
Yeah, of course. Would you want to work with him again?
Sure. Yeah, he's talented, no doubt.
So one other question I have for you is, since you've done so many things with your career, what is the best piece of advice you've gotten as an actor over the course of your career?
As an actor?
As an actor or anything in general?
Well, I've had a lot of advice. One of the things that I can pass to you, I used to be, when success first came to me, which was with Midnight Cowboy, people would come up to me and ask me for autographs and different kinds of things. And I would say, I'm just an ordinary person, just like you, I'm not anything special. I would apologize, And when I did Deliverance, Burt Reynolds was so enthusiastic to sign his name on things. And he showed me how much joy there can be in the exchange of this kind of a thing. When somebody comes up and asks you, well, sure, I'll give you my autograph. Terrific. How are you today? Like that. And he taught me that that's the way to deal with it, not to be shy about the attention you're getting, but enjoy it and allow other people to enjoy it too. Good.
An honor to speak with you today. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you. Nice to speak to you too.
Yes, of course.